Hey there, I'm Caitlin, a SNAP-Ed nutrition educator here in Waldo County, Maine. Today's video is made in partnership with WIC of Waldo County. We're going to talk about preserving our produce today, produce preservation. Does anybody have a bag of apples or other produce that's lying around about to spoil? Are you already cooking something? Then you definitely have time to preserve your food and make the most out of that produce. So I just wiped down my cutting board and stuff, just make sure everything's clean. I got my baggies and all my produce that's on the edge. I have 2 pans going on the stove, and I'm just going to start with my bananas. These are the easiest because we're not going to cook them or anything like that. I decided I was going to mash one of them because I thought I would bake something in the, not so distant future. Apparently I'm going to bake something today. Just stick with me. But so once I had those peeled, I added my peas to my little pot. These peas were in the produce section at Hannaford in Belfast, and they were on sale. They were marked way down, but it's because they expired like that day, and then it's been like 2 days since I bought it, so they definitely needed some love if they were going to survive the winter. So I just broke up the banana into blender size pieces because it's much easier to do that when they're soft instead of when they're frozen. Checked on my peas, and then I got going on my carrots. I just cut the tops off because those don't, do very well. They're a little rough. And then I cut them into equal sized chunks. The thicker part of the carrot I cut a little shorter, and the longer part of the carrot a little longer, so they all turned out weighing about the same. This way they would cook all together. Now, usually you start carrots or any root vegetable in cold water, but I'm just a hot mess mom and this is what happened, so I'm sorry. Please don't burn yourself with water like I did. You can prep ahead and do the carrots first. So just checking on the peas, they weren't quite there yet, so I put them back on the burner. We want them to be like a vibrant green. I think broccoli is a really good example of this because it happens so quickly. Broccoli goes from being like a dull-ish green to very vibrant to then very muted again. And it's best when it's in that vibrant, bright green stage. So yeah, everything's just boiling away. Started mashing my banana, and this was when I was like, ooh, I actually have a recipe I want to try, and decided that this smashed banana probably wasn't going to last very long. So once that was all soft, I grabbed a container. I actually have these glass reusable baby food containers that I got at Rennie's like years ago when my little guy was really, really little. But I love when you can find deals like this, the like sealable lid. Rennie's and Job Lots seem to be really good for deals on products like that. And it's reusable, more so reusable than actually reusing a baby food jar because those lids, they're floppy, they're flimsy, they don't hold their shape very long. So now that our peas are nice and vibrant, look at that, so pretty. I shut the heat off and I'm gonna take them over to the sink. Well, check on the carrots first. Yeah, I can tell by the sound that they're making when I'm rolling them around that they're still hard. It sounds like rocks. So then I'm just rinsing off the peas. This is going to stop the cooking process. It's like shocking them. It'll stop the cooking process, but it will also help them cool down faster because we don't want to put this stuff in the freezer when it's still piping hot. It's not good for the bag. It's not good for, I don't know. It's just not good, I guess. So once those carrots really got going, they really got bubbling, it didn't take too much time. Then I refilled the pot, the little pan, with water for the pears because we're actually going to blanch our pears. So I just gave them a good rinse, made sure I got the stickers off. I've made that mistake before. Had to pick a produce sticker out of my peeler. It took so long. Such a mistake. I'll never make that one again. Then I just peeled the pears. I like going top to bottom. My husband always teases me about it, and he likes to go around like an apple, but whatever, you just do you. I peeled them, and I at first thought I would just do them whole, but that takes a long time. You have to like simmer them on a low heat, a very low boil for a long time, and I thought I'm trying to make this as quick and easy as possible. So I decided to cut them up. I tried to cut them into equal size pieces. Again, just like the carrots, you want them to all cook together. If you have one tiny piece and a bunch of big pieces, that tiny piece is going to be mush by the time the big pieces are even half cooked. So that's why we're just trying to make sure that they're about the same size. But I don't have patience for like the corer and digging out the seeds and stuff to make them all fancy looking like the ones in the can. So actually, to help with the preservation, I'm going to put about a tablespoon of agave in here. You can put sugar or honey or whatever you want. Just a little bit of a sugar would be good to help preserve them. It helps them keep their color and not go so brown. And similarly with the carrots, I added a little bit of salt, but we're going to rinse both of these. The salt is just going to help soften the carrot evenly and cook it through, all the way through. Another thing I probably should have done sooner than I actually did it. But the carrots are done when they are fork tender. Have you heard that term before? So if you can put your fork in it easily, it doesn't fight you. You don't have to fight to get the fork, to stab the fork in there. We want them fork tender to the point where we can easily put the fork in, but not that it'll just shake off. We want it to easily slide off, but not to shake off, because then that means that they're still firm on the inside and they can withstand another cooking. Because these are frozen, I will probably end up steaming them or maybe rinsing them, letting them dry off in the sink and on some paper towels and roasting them. These are definitely not going to be eaten raw, so I want them to be able to withstand another cooking without turning to mush, whether I boil them, roast them, whatever. So keeping them a little firm on the inside is nice for the final outcome. So now I moved on to applesauce. You could easily throw all this stuff in a crock pot, but I thought I want to just keep this as simple as possible. I'm already working on the stove. The pan's already dirty. Let's get it going. So I started cutting up all of the apples. I had a big old bag of Cortlands that was about to turn. So I cut them all up and I turned the heat on and then started adding the apples because I wanted to layer the texture. If you put the apples in the crock pot, they're all going to turn out mush like applesauce, like normal applesauce, especially if you peel them first. I was going for a more rustic-y applesauce. I like to leave the peels on because it makes it this bright red color. It's really nice. But I wanted to layer the texture. So those apples that touch the pan first are going to get mushy, but the apples that are put in the pan last and are on the top are still going to be kind of chunky and a little bit whole at the end. So let me just add a little bit of salt. This is going to help with the breaking down of the apples. And then just a tablespoon or two of a sweetener of your choice. I use a lot of couponing apps and stuff like that, so I end up trying different things all the time. This month it's just agave. I found a coupon for date syrup, so stay tuned. And then I just added some apple spice, pre-mixed apple pie spice. You can play with this. Remember, this is your recipe. You can do whatever you want. You can make your own apple spice. You can completely leave it unspiced. You could leave it unsweetened. You can take this in any direction you want. You are the creator of your own applesauce. So then once it was starting to break down a little bit more, I turned the heat down and was stirring it less often. Oops, dropped a little guy there. And then I added a 1/4 cup of water. It starts to make a different sound. You can hear that the sizzle is dry. I added a regular cup of water. And that just prevents it from sticking. Look, there's the pears in a baggie. Yay, excellent, all rinsed. So you can see as it starts to cook, it gets really red and beautiful, but now it's time to mash. You can use whatever tools you have at your disposal. That spaghetti thing you never use, that warped slotted spoon that I have that I love for mashing more than anything else. You could also just use a standard whisk. That's really helpful. I have this whisk. I'm pretty sure I got it at Job Lots. Don't hold me to that. But I have this cool whisk that has rubber on the sides, so it makes it easy to scrape down the sides as I'm going. And I think that little whole thing at the bottom helps with the mashing bit too. So I was just mashing and mixing and mashing and mixing. And when you do this, you'll see that the water, it starts to dry up a little bit more because as you mash those apples, they start to absorb a little bit of that spicy, sweet liquid. It's just, oh, it's all coming together, guys. Swap to the spoon for the glamour shots, and there you have it. You could let this cool and throw it in a blender or a food processor, use an immersion blender, or just leave it like this. I left it like this. Oh my gosh, guys, I love that chunky rustic applesauce. All right, now it's time for the water bowl vacuum seal hack. So all of our veggies that are in bags that we blanched, oh, and pears too, our veggies and fruits that are in bags that we blanched before, we're going to seal them almost all the way. Leave a little bit open so that you can let the air out, and then just take a bowl full of water and you're gonna push it down. The peas was not a good one to start with. It was very difficult because there's lots of little air bubbles between all the peas, but you push it down in the water and the water creates pressure in the bag and pushes the air out, so then you have a vacuum sealed little baggie. I don't know if it was the peas, it might have just been me, but that one didn't turn out great. Let's try again with the carrots. So again, zip it almost all the way, leave a little bit open, push it to the bottom, try to squeeze out some of those extra air bubbles, zip it across the top, pull it out of the water, and vacuum packed. As close to vacuum packed as I can get because I'm not spending $80 on a machine. Then I did the pears. I think this one turned out the best. I don't know why. Maybe it was because it was the second to last one. Ta-da! There you have it. Look at all this stuff that I made with produce that I was just about to waste. And those mashed bananas from the beginning made their way into some peanut butter banana oat muffins. So now you might be asking, why blanch? This is why. I froze a carrot and then let it thaw to show you just how gross it gets. They're all flaccid and flimsy and yucky. It's lost all of its shape and integrity and quite a bit of its nutrients. Just by blanching it first, we preserve the texture and it comes out so much better in the end. Well, thank you so much for watching. A special thanks to WIC, Women, Infant, and Children of Waldo County. Don't forget to post your creations to social media with the hashtag MaineSnapEd. If you want more, subscribe and check out mainesnaped.org. Thanks.